Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with life transition coach James Vanderwalt. He is the owner of Vanderwalt Coaching LLC in California and is a life transition coach that unblocks women and men from negative, repetitive life cycles, helping them own their own lives. He worked as a specialist registered nurse in the UK for over 20 years, specializing in ICU nursing, organ donation, and transplantation nursing, and bringing it all together into mentoring, higher education, and coaching before moving to the United States in January of 2020. He's got a great story. Enjoy this interview.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's great to meet you. Thanks for being flexible and taking some time out to the show today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to do this. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me as well. So before we get into your life as a transition coach, you know, we've gone through quite a thing with COVID, and I'm sure it's affected your business model quite a bit the last 3 years of this pandemic. I'm curious, from your perspective, how did you survive this time period, and how has it altered or changed the way that you both live your life and conduct business now here in 2023 as things open up?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. What did we do to change, to survive, to get through it? I'm sure every single person on this earth had a different way. As a transition coach, that is what I did. I literally trained and certified as one throughout COVID, and I readjusted my life completely. And I started my business in COVID, which some people might say wasn't the cleverest idea, but the need is great, and there's lots of people out there that needs a coach, or somebody who will just listen or help them get through this. There's very few people still alive today who's actually been through a massive pandemic like that, so nobody really has the tools. And the more I speak to people every day, the more I realize that nobody was really equipped to deal with what is now. Dating has changed, business has changed, work has changed, social life has changed. So what have I done for the business to get through it? Zoom, for example, telephone, learning the skills to actually build a relationship with somebody in a very short space of time without being able to see their face or be in the same room with them. Those are probably one of the big skills I had to learn, and which was really good fun to learn. And it's good. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, it absolutely did, and I think that was the thing about it. I think everybody out there had to make a choice of capitalizing on a monopolistic moment in human history, and literally do things in a different way. And I think there were a lot of silver linings for people. But in your line of work, what has been the big thing as a coach that you've noticed that you've had to help people through as we all kind of look at the calendar? It's April. We all have PTSD from 2020. How are you helping people cope and get back on their feet and be strong?
So the big thing that I have learned from all of it was that everybody is always getting ready to change, but nobody's actually getting ready for the transition that comes after change. And that is where I fit in, helping people get through the change that the COVID's caused, and then helping them prepare for that transition. Lots of people meet me, obviously, after COVID, so they're in that transition, and it's about helping them go through it, learn from it, grow through it, and not just, ostrich head in the sand with it. And that has been such a great joy and such a wonderful experience to enable people to basically introduce themselves to themselves again. Because everybody's got this new way of thinking, new way of doing things, and not realizing that that's a massive change, that's a transition to the new person. And so I help them to find their identities, their new identities, take responsibility for what's happened, and introduce themselves to themselves again.
So let's simplify a little bit, or let's kind of get you boiled down to exactly what you do on a regular basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day, and one of the kids asks you, what do you do for a living? How do you answer them?
I help people find a way to get through a tough time so that they can get to the other side of that difficult moment and look back and feel proud of themselves and happy to move on to the next big moment in their life, feeling stronger and more equipped.
Yeah. So when you were that age, when you were young in grade school, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I wanted to be a lawyer. And then as I grew up, I realized, I grew up with TV shows like LA Law and, big drama TV shows where being a lawyer was very glamorous. And there was a show, you were on stage performing, trying to save people's lives. And as I grew up, I realized that the majority of work that lawyers do is reading, not so much in court. And so, that's where the big change came. And I fell into nursing, and I became a nurse.
Yeah, well, and that's wonderful. That kind of leads into my next question. Obviously as a nurse and as a life coach, a lot of what you do is giving to other people. So take me back to where you were born and raised, your childhood, and the seeds that were planted in you to become this person that gives and wants to help other people.
I was born and grew up in South Africa, just outside Johannesburg, and I was there till about the age of 17. My mother and father are both counselors, are both leaders in community, and we definitely grew up with a sense of reflection, a sense of thinking about what the community is and where do we fit into the community and what is my role in society and all the wonderful gifts that I was given, what am I going to do with them to help society, help my community? And so then I moved at the age of 17, 18, I moved to the UK, immigrated there, and that's where I met a great friend, and she was on her way to nursing school, and I decided to join her for a semester, and a semester turned into a degree, and a degree turned into a whole 20-something career as an ICU nurse, because that's where I felt I fitted into serving people, saving lives, and giving back to my community. I was then given the opportunity to move to California in the USA, and that is where I had a massive health, well, it's the year before we moved to California, I had a massive health moment in my own life, and I had to rethink my nursing career, my future, and I had to find a new way of bringing it all together into a new direction. And that's where I found the Health Coaching Institute. And they were very able to explain to me how my nursing and coaching fit together and how I can use them both to serve, and without having to get rid of all the nursing and start from scratch. And so, that's where I am now, continuing to help people, continuing to serve people. So a big part of my community that I help are people with newly diagnosed chronic illnesses, for example. That's a big change. And how do you transition through that? Is to basically, I help them navigate the doctors, the diagnosis, the feelings, the health, the physical changes, and helping them to see then how that has prepared them for the future to come, and that this is not the end. This is just a new beginning, and hopefully help them realize that their new illness is an actual superpower, because that's where I ended up at.
That's a great story. Thank you for laying that out. And I'm curious, in your life, we're all motivated by strong forces around us. Who's been a role model or a hero for you in your life?
A role model? Oh, wow. I've had many wonderful and fantastic people in my life. I would say it started off with Mum and Dad, definitely big role model. how they fearlessly worked throughout their lives to help people and serve their communities. Then was definitely one of my mentors in nursing school, where she showed me how to be truly fearless in saving lives. I mean, there's lots of famous people that I look up to, but I would say those three people are definitely the main features in my life.
If you could meet anybody alive right now on the planet, spend a little time with them, who would it be?
I think I would like to spend time with Nelson Mandela. And the reason for that is he went from a young man who had a very clear vision of change, who went through incredible heartache, and then changed his life completely around to an even clearer vision with deep, deep forgiveness and service. And thirdly, creating communities. Those are three things that I'm very curious about and busy learning a lot about. And that whole sense of creating communities, bringing people together, showing forgiveness, taking responsibility, and really zooming in on that vision, that single vision that you have, and translating that to people so that they can understand it very clearly, so that they can then believe in it and move forward with it. And I think he's one of the people that has the best example for me of bringing all of that together in one life.
You know, I heard a podcast a little while ago about Nelson and how long he was in jail and when he got out. Can you imagine how mind-blowing that would have been for somebody that really, in the beginning, before he went to jail, he thought he was going to get executed. He thought him and a couple others that were with him were going to get executed. And then to find out 27 years later that what you did absolutely 100% changed the culture and society in the way that you wanted it to be. I couldn't imagine what that would do to you to feel that when you got out of prison.
And I think that's one of the things that completely blows my mind, is somebody who's gone through all of those extreme moments and still walked out on the other side a better human being, a greater human being, a bigger servant to society, to communities. It could have broken him. I think that's one of the big things that transitions teaches us, and what people miss. And what my big passion is to help people see is that transitions are there. They have the most beautiful opportunity and chance for you to see how you can grow through something and get out on the other side a better human, or a stronger human, or a proper conqueror with a vision. And not just see transitions as, or change or challenges as something that flattens you. Because there's so many opportunities that come from challenges, changes, and transitions.
For sure. So what is it every day that motivates you, that gets you out of bed, that gets you to accomplish and do what you want to do?
There's an enormous amount of people out there that need help, and especially now. Having had COVID and having gone through all of that, everybody's in change. Everybody is in a challenging time, and that's what gets me out of bed, is get my message out there, see more people, serve more people, and just really help them get to a point where they feel good about themselves, where they are able to deal with their identity, take responsibility, and live life, not missing a moment.
So of all of the things that you've done and accomplished in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Wow. I am the proudest of having gotten to a place in my life where everything that upset me, or everything I thought was holding me back, I was able to identify them all. I was able to see my role within them and take responsibility for it. and become conscious to my own life. And therefore, that's helped me adjust in 3 different countries. It's helped me adjust in 2, 3 career changes. That's what I'm proud of.
So if you have a dream tonight and you run into, say, a 20-year-old version of yourself, and you can give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life, what would you tell that younger version of you?
Be fearless. Take every single moment that comes across your path. Say yes. Run with it. Learn from it. Grow from it. And keep looking forward. And take people with you. Support them. Love them. And accept yourself and love yourself.
Everyone out there has a perception of you. There's different bubbles and pockets of people that interact with you. Family, friends, clients, colleagues, but ultimately you're in control of your own life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
That's a good question. I am a reflector. I am a visionary. I am a leader. And I can do all of that quietly, without standing on a rooftop shouting. And I'm definitely a community builder.
Beautiful. James, if anyone out there wants to learn more about you, hire you as a coach, anything related to your world, where is the best place to go?
Instagram, Walt Coaching. That's where they can find me. That's where my videos are. That's where my quotes are. And then they can also find me on www.vanderwaltcoaching.com, which is my website. And then, email me, phone me, text me, WhatsApp me, DM me. That's where I am.
James Vanderwalt, what a great, well-traveled journey you've had in life. Thank you for opening up your story. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you, Joe. It was great to speak to you and awesome questions. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.